Welcome to the Top Agent Happy Hour podcast, where you'll learn how to build a real estate career worth celebrating. Join us as real estate's top producers, industry insiders, and team leaders pull back the curtain, sharing secrets and actionable ideas for attracting clients, delivering great service, and closing deals. You'll also go beyond the deal, learning how to connect with your why, be authentically awesome, and build your will to win. And now let's join your real estate rock star hosts from Pearson Smith Realty, Richard Bridges and Dustin Fox.
All right, guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Top Agent Happy Hour, where we interview agents all across the country and about how they uniquely grew their business. And we are joined today with the one, the only, Austin Harley. This guy has got a story, and we are excited to hear it. Thanks for coming on the show today, buddy. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I've never been on a podcast like this, so this is so cool.
Very cool. Well, we are really excited to hear a little bit about your story, and that's, I think, where we'll start. Can you tell us how you got into the business, how you've gotten from where you started in the business to where you are today, what your business overall looks like?
Yeah. So how I got started in real estate. So I was in banking pretty much my entire life when I was 18, 19, 20. And just right about after I got fired from Wells Fargo, which is crazy, I started to realize that working for like a CEO type company or a corporate world wasn't going to be really like a good fit for me. So I was always doing things on the side, flipping cars, doing little things to make side money. And I started getting into real estate through an investor, actually. And he started teaching me little things. I started going on appointments with him. Soon enough, I got my license and started selling his properties. And it just kind of snowballed from there, and it just built up.
Dude, that's awesome. So what does your business look like right now? Like, what kind of volume are you doing? Numbers? You know, what is built up to our consumers or to our listeners? So
far this year, I think the total volume is around 9 million. I have 24 transactions down. It's going pretty well. But yeah, no, I'm trying to shoot for the stars this year. It's just the business just really just flooded in. I didn't even like see it coming. It just like smacked me in the face.
That's awesome. And we're definitely want to find out how all that happened, because we're, just a little past halfway through the year. And you closed 20 at 9 million. That's a pretty good average price per unit too. How long have you been in the business? How long have you been doing this?
So the 3 years total. This is going on my third complete year this fall. The first year I was in real estate, I didn't really perform because I was working at a bank still. I was working at Capital One. I just did a few transactions here and there, nothing crazy. Just showing properties on the weekend, trying to learn the ropes of the business. The second year, I made a decision because I hated that corporate world to just completely dump Capital One and quit. I went all in. I was just like, screw it. What's the worst that could happen? I'm broke anyway. And I joined Leanne's team, which she's totally awesome. It was the best decision ever. And she taught me so many things in this business that I'll never forget. And from there, I just hustled. I hustled like I was broke 24/7. And I'm not really good with money. So everything that I made is everything that I spent. So it just kept on turning into this transactional platform where I just had to keep going. To really stay afloat. And then this year, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about how to keep all that stuff together and actually run a business.
So you being only licensed for 3 years, Austin, and already having $9 million in production this year, like what would you credit it to, you being able to scale your business so quickly? Because there's people that have been in the business 10, 15 years that would like to have the volume that you have right now. And you've been able to get past the stigma of you being really young. What exactly have you done to do that? What do you credit it?
Yeah, so the young thing was really difficult to get over. That was something I was really scared of in the beginning. I tend to just throw myself in the water a lot. As far as kind of like crediting, so a lot of my business does come from this investor. So it's not like I'm having people blow me up left and right to, hey, I want you to work with me. A lot of the business is from one client. I would say probably 50% of my business is from that client. So that has really helped me. But on the back end, I'm doing a lot of stuff, I guess you could say, not for free, but kind of like sweat equity work in the back end that I built up to get to that point. And in the beginning, I worked to learn, and now I'm kind of working to earn a little bit more. So I kind of built the systems in the beginning of the first 2 years to really get to this year right now, where I'm truly kind of seeing the cash flow from it. I may have gone off topic a little bit.
No, you're good. How did you end up meeting this investor?
Oh God, through an ex-girlfriend. So, so yeah. Through an ex-girlfriend, and we're no longer dating. So yeah, it is what it is. But
I love about that is that when people are always like, dude, opportunities are so hard to find, I'm going to be like, Austin found a gold mine with his ex-girlfriend. So there's opportunity everywhere. You just got to look for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. You just got to show that you're hungry. That's the biggest thing that I feel in this business. People hire agents that have no transactions done before. It's just all about showing the person how hungry you are to get it done. And that's how you get to do it in the beginning. And after that, you kind of just tweak it.
So how have you been able, sorry, Richard, how have you been able to kind of show this guy continued value? Because I've met a lot of agents that have done a couple deals with an investor, and then like 1 or 2 deals take a while, and then they just ghost on them. So what are you doing differently for this guy that he stuck with you this long?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, investors out there. And a lot of people, a lot of agents will say, that's not the right avenue to go into business with. It's just too much time. It's too much work. And it's true. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, but I love it. To keep his business flowing, it's really a huge trust basis. You have to show him that if you're going to go out and try to retrain someone else, like another agent, to do what you're doing, how much time does that take away from your own business? And just always trying to be there for them. I guess I still am in like a 9-to-5 with him. I guess technically everyone's trying to get that, freedom done, but it's a huge part of my business, and it brings on a lot of listings from me. So I'm willing to do whatever. I mean, I go on appointments left and right for him, and he can go on vacation. He can do whatever he wants. And at the same time, he does help me. I mean, if he goes to an appointment and it's not a fit for him, he's going to refer it to me. So it's just like a mutual connection that works very well. And we're good friends too. So.
Nice.
That's awesome. How have you, you mentioned the age thing was something. How have you overcome that? What are some tips you could give our listeners to overcoming the challenge? Because I got in really young, similar to you. I was like 18, 19 years old when I got into the business. And I remember, I've shared this story in a previous episode. I went on like a $700,000 listing appointment, and the owner opened the door and was like, "Did you ride your bike here?" And I was like, "I have a driver's license." Like that was the thing. And how do they take you serious when their first knee-jerk reaction is you're a baby to them? So what did you have to do to differentiate yourself? What are some actionable things you can tell our listeners to really share with them if they're young or thinking about getting into the business that they could do to really separate themselves and find success?
So it's definitely all confidence, and confidence comes from knowledge. You have to understand what's going on in the market and understand their needs. And then I would say, honestly, a small percentage of it is just BSing it to show that you know what you're doing, because there's no other way of getting started in it. I mean, you just got to say what they want to hear at first, and then kind of tighten the screws from there as you get more knowledgeable. I didn't have a beard when I first started. I was like 20, so going on those appointments, it was pretty scary. And I would say whatever the client wanted to hear. And I was willing to do whatever the client wanted to do within reason to get it done. I didn't really care. I just wanted the business because I knew that I was going to learn later. So I didn't really care. I would just go from there. I don't think anyone has ever like critiqued me off of being young in an appointment. A lot of people ask me how old I am, but I think once they kind of hear what I have to say in the appointment and educate them on how to get their house sold, they understand that they know what I'm talking about. And that comes down to kind of my marketing too, which I'm sure we're going to touch on later on as well. So,
but did you, how would you get past early on? I'm sure you would have the occasional seller or two that would say like, well, how many houses have you sold in this price range? Or, how many houses have you sold?
So I don't think I won any of those listing appointments. I don't think they called me back. When people have asked me, since I was working with the investor, I did have like a decent track record. But to be honest with you, unless you're kind of, honing in that one niche area, people don't generally ask me that, how many transactions. Usually I have to kind of show them now. And it's even kind of awkward showing them because they think you're kind of bragging about it. It's weird.
Right.
So I've never truly been asked that. I mean, they may ask how many transactions you've done in this city, and I'll be like, look, I mean, you can, you can hire that. I don't know. There's like objections to everyone. You can go hire a local agent, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. We all just have access to them. I mean, there's so many ways to object it. I mean, you just got to say what you got to say to get the listing.
I found when I'm in a listing presentation, especially in the higher price points, like if I have my resume there, my testimonials on my resume, when I flip through them quickly, I can say, this house specifically was listed by 3 other agents. I don't name anybody specifically. And I might say, it was on the market for this long, and I came in, I did this, this, and this to get it sold. I'll do like a couple good things, and then I will share with them like a tough story. Like, I'm going to be honest, like this one took me a year to sell, but I got it done. So you're not coming across, you're being a little bit self-deprecating, and not coming across too braggadocious, as you said.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And also to answer that question too, I kind of thought about that a little bit more, is I'm not dealing with clients that are on their second, third, or fourth time buying or selling. Usually I'm dealing with the first time sellers or the first time buyers. So they don't really know anything else. Like those type of clients aren't out like interviewing multiple agents. I mean, there are some listings that I go to interview multiple people, but it's just more, they're going to pull the trigger as soon as I meet them because I'm a cool guy and they like, they want someone to relate with is what I'm trying to say. So
cool dude status.
Oh yeah.
Like so going, what was, I think you maybe danced around it a little bit on the first question. You were in banking, and it's a natural progression, but the banking world and customer service and then real estate, those type of things. But what was it about real estate that attracted you to just that investor, and he kind of opened your eyes to it, or was there some passion that you wanted to do?
So real estate is the key to freedom, is what I realized. You can control your time a lot better. I'm a big believer in the whole like entrepreneurship type thing and the Robert Kiyosaki books and everything like that. So I like being able to control my time is the biggest thing. Because I've like recently I sold a house in McLean, and this guy is like a CEO of some airline company. He probably makes like $500,000 a year, like working 9 to 5. And he is the most miserable person ever. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm so glad I got out of like the corporate world. So real estate appealed to freedom for me, really. And to see that it's scalable, it's something that I can grow and set up systems and kind of take a step back from later on and have that chunk of revenue coming in.
And you do a pretty good job. I've seen you, you have a pretty extensive YouTube page in terms of informative videos and the knowledge that you've learned, especially on the investing side and wealth building on the entrepreneur, house flipping, all of that stuff. You have a pretty strong video library that you're sharing this knowledge with everybody. How'd you get started on all of that?
So there's a few, definitely the investor mentor. He definitely taught me so much. To be honest with you, it's crazy, but YouTube is like the new college. I've learned so much from YouTube videos. So building wealth through real estate is something that I always try to educate my clients on because, at the end of the day, every time you buy a house, you're immediately increasing your net worth. So it gets their blood pumping, and it's true. I kind of teach them, hey, if you want to own a few rental properties and retire, this is what you can do to do that. And definitely from personal experience too with rental properties, those things are crazy.
No, I like it because if you look at your page, you're not doing a lot of the cliche real estate videos where it's like, this is how you negotiate a home inspection that you're going to end up telling them anyways. You're giving them like very valuable things like, this is how you can increase your credit score 50, 75 points in this amount of time. These are the things you have to do step by step. And I know that it's not just lip service that you're doing because I've seen the comments in your page where people are saying like, thank you so much. Like, this has helped me. And you're you're delivering value and having an impact on people's lives.
Yeah. So that's kind of going into the marketing aspect of it too. I think you have to think about it. What was hardest for me is making these videos is, you can make those cliche videos. Like I think a lot of agents do is, are you looking to buy or sell a home? But that's not what people want. As soon as you want to buy a house, everyone's your realtor.
Right.
So people don't care about that. People just want to see the real value. And it's really just the education that you provide that client that's going to stick with them. Even when I'm on the phone now with the seller, I don't even try to pressure them into an appointment. I'm just like, look, this is exactly how you get this house sold. If you want to set up a consultation, it's free. It's entirely up to you. Whenever you're ready, we're ready to serve. And that's kind of how I kept it. It's all just education. It's all providing value. And then the business will come in after that.
So it seems like your business is scaling pretty quickly. You have a lot of opportunities. You've got a good golden goose there that's providing a lot more opportunities, and then you're fully taking advantage of those things to continue to get and grow, and you're hustling hard. As you continue to grow and bandwidth maybe becomes an issue, what's your plan from a scaling standpoint? How you talked about wanting to be able to put systems in place and take a step back. What does that look like to you? What's kind of that organization moving forward in your mind?
Yeah, so that's the exciting part. I love scaling because that was probably one of the hardest things, and I'm still struggling with, is trying to actually grow systems and create them to scale. When you start doing some transactions, it gets really difficult to be able to communicate with a lot of clients, and I'm not very efficient as a person. So I ended up having to get an assistant pretty soon, and it wasn't very cost effective at first, but training them is really the hardest thing to do. Training them and realizing that they're a human being that you have to treat very highly, because they're like the backbone of that business, and they take a huge load off of dealing with the client. And now it's just like, I mean, if I go to the listing appointment, it's just, one time there, I'll talk to the client, I'll follow up with them before the house goes live, and then I'll be at closing with them. So I try to limit the amount of time that I spend with the client so that I can stay at the office making more calls to get more business. And a lot of that, honestly, I got from Tony Rivas. He taught me so much about time just from meeting with him for like an hour. This man's like the master of time. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And it's funny, because I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and their objective, like the goal in order to help with efficiency and systems and scaling, it is to essentially, you want to be able to reduce the number of hours you have to commit to each and every listing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think everyone strives to be that customer service type agent and always be there for their client. But I think to a certain extent, it kind of hurts you in the end. You gotta set expectations and boundaries.
Yeah, for sure. So you said, 50% of your business in this investor guy or girl, and then you have another 50% that you're scaling elsewhere. So you're meeting with these sellers, and they're not all obviously this investor. So you're meeting them. Kind of, what is your kind of unique selling proposition? What do you bring into the table that you feel like other agents may not be doing?
So I've tried a few different things. I've tried, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I've tried, reducing commission. I've tried that because I thought that, that's like a no-brainer. And what I realized is people don't care about that. They want value. They truly, truly just want the value. So I kind of started rolling that one out a little bit, because that one, you don't get paid that much for. The second thing that I tried is the guaranteed sale approach. Since I'm with the investor, I try to say, hey, I can, sell your house within blah, blah, blah days, or else I'll buy it. But I realize there's a lot of other agents are doing that, and a lot of people see through the cracks. I mean, if they're going to be reaching out to an investor, they want an investor. If they're going to be reaching out to a realtor, they want a realtor. There's no in between. Well, I guess now there is with like Nextdoor and all that stuff, but that's another story. So that marketing approach isn't really working that well. So what I just started doing actually is like a bill at settlement type thing, because a lot of the homes that I go to are kind of distressed sellers. So maybe some carpet, maybe some paint is needed in their house, and that stuff is super easy to do. But to a seller, what repairs do you do? What paint color do you do? It's like a complex world. I mean, there's millions of options. So coming from that perspective of saying, hey, I literally sell the houses that my investor flips, I know exactly what to do to a certain extent to find a happy median, and they love it. I mean, seriously, like they'll pay above 6% commission for this stuff. Just find a really good contractor and offer those services. And then I offer kind of like a split of services. I'll say, hey, I can sell your house. The charge will be 5%. Or I can do this, this, and this, which is like $2,000 to $3,000 worth of work. And then I'll charge you 6.5%, and I'll pay for it up front to show that I'm vested in selling your house as much as you are. And they literally eat it up all day long.
Yeah, I'm blown away by that, because essentially you've systemized showing value, like massive amounts of value, because when people have a price objection, it's because they don't see the value, and you have removed the objection by just providing massive amounts of value. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty hard though. I'm not gonna lie, because I recently made a mistake, and I went overboard, and we're basically like flipping this lady's house and then billing her at settlement, like literally redoing her entire house, and I'm like, oh crap, like
Yeah,
just
but
money
you
stuff.
you learn from that. I mean, you said it in
Exactly.
the beginning, when you were a new agent 3 years ago, you were much more likely to just, the first thing to do is like offer less commission. And you've kind of realized as you've done, higher commissions, that you're doing the same amount of work for less money. You built a book of business that you don't need to do that as much. So, I mean, all of these things, including the woman that you were just talking about, where you're basically flipping, it's just a learning experience.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You just don't make the same mistake again. So for 2019, you have say 9.5 million. Where do you see what's your stretch goal for the rest of 2019, and where do you see your business, and where would you like it to go, like 2020, 2021?
All right, so being realistic, I don't know. I mean, 15, 17 million, somewhere around there. I think on the track that I'm at with what I got in the pipeline, I would love to hit 20 million. I feel like that's so cool. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I want to get my name up on the $25 million total sales. I think that would be really cool at Pearson Smith. But I think realistically, I'm probably going to be around like 15 to 17 million for this year. Maybe like 40 to 50 transactions. I'm going to aim for 60 though. Always shoot for the stars. And then as far as 2020, I don't know, man, because like right now I'm starting to train someone to go on the listing appointments for me, because I realized that my strength is being on the phone. So I don't know. I see that as very scalable. I would say realistically 80, but I'm going to shoot for, I don't know, like 90, something like that. I'm going to try. I have no idea what kind of systems I need in place to hit 80, 90 transactions. That's a lot. It's a lot
Well,
of.
I mean, just at the $20 million mark right there, in our market in DC, you're there in like the Real Trends 100. I think the Real Trends 100 ended at like 104, 105 this year, and it was like 20.343 were the people that were still on it. So if you could get that on your resume, this year or next year, and you're doing that before you turn 30, I mean, that's a 30, 30 under 30. Or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Where instead of your age being kind of a hindrance, that's like, you can lead with that, describing like, this is what I've done, and I'm ranked in the top 100 of all agents in the DC metro area. So you're on your way there, but it's hard to be patient when you're competitive, the way that you are. And you see these names and you want to go past them, but you have to take a step back sometimes to remember, like, the people that you see at the top, most of them have been in the business for like 15, 20 years. And you want to be where they are right now, but you don't have that repeat and referral business at that level yet.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. And I think that was one of the questions too. If you ever, what was the question? Number one thing, if you could look back in your career, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I should have saved every single client's email and just market it to them again. Cause now I know how to email market to people. I'm like, oh God. So I'm like going back in MLS trying to figure out where these people's emails are. I wish I would have done that, because repeat business is it's incredible when it falls in your lap.
It's just a faucet that opens and slowly gets more and more powerful over time. I mean, I use the example all the time. You see these, not to be disparaging, but dinosaurs who've been in the business 50 years, they're 90 years old. They don't have a laptop, but they don't have an email address, but somehow they sleep their way to $10 million in volume every year. And it's like, how do they do this? And the fact is they're selling the great grandkids of their original clients' houses because they did a good job and they stayed in touch. Simple as that.
And it's a relationship thing, because I've seen it with agents that were mega agents like Keller Williams. What's the book called? Their Bible, the
Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, they were featured in that book. They came into Pearson Smith. They were retiring. They basically sold their book of business or for a commission. And the minute that they stepped out of that relationship, all of those sales went to the wayside. So that's why you have these, 70, 80-year-old agents that are still closing things, as you said, because they've kept the relationship there. Now, Austin, they have so many things, as you know, with Client Giant and all like that, you can automate them. And, we put 40 people out of our top, out of our 100 past clients, we put 40 of them that had either done a buy sale or had already referred to somebody. We put them on Client Giant and they're getting the 4 gifts a year. And the way I look at it is it's hard to write that $4,000 check, this past year. We've already got a couple of referrals from it. If they buy or sell a house every 7 years, that's a $700 investment rather than, you spending $400 or $500 on a 25% chance Zillow lead.
Right.
So maintaining those relationships and them telling their friends like, yeah, I mean, this guy, I did a transaction. My last agent that I did a transaction with, I did it with him. I never heard from them again. And this guy has been sending me gifts for the last 5 years, like a few times a year. They're going to stick with you forever.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So what's been your number one generating source of business besides the investor? Like, what would you say the majority of the rest of your business is coming from?
It's Facebook and Google Ads.
Okay.
Direct response marketing all. I look at it in 2 different types of way of marketing. Is you can go chase business, or you can put your word out there and have the business come to you, which is direct response. And it makes it a lot easier too. You don't have to kill yourself over these sales techniques. There's definitely a lot of sales over the phone, but if someone's reaching out to you and you're just returning their call, hey, how can I help you? It's a whole lot easier than calling FSBOs, because I hate cold calling FSBOs. It's the worst thing in the world. So yeah, no, Facebook and Google Ads, really. It's super expensive. It's kind of a ripoff, but it is what it is. I pay for convenience.
So what are you seeing? What's been more where would you put number 1 and number 2 for you, Facebook or Google Ads?
Facebook for sure. Facebook it's a lot cheaper, and I think I generate more business on there. You become like a mini celebrity. It's crazy. Once you find the right audience and you hone into that audience with retargeting ads, a lot of stuff I learned from you as well. You really become like a mini celebrity. And when you show up at the listing appointment, they're like, oh yeah, I know who you are, which is really cool.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you're doing a better job at it than I am, because I'm literally just running my property ads. I'm not doing any videos like you are. So when they come into your system and you're able to retarget them from your pixel, and then they're seeing all your educational videos or your testimonial videos, that's the thing. If any agent has a chance to go to Austin's website and see, it's one thing to get a Zillow review from somebody. It's a whole nother level when you're getting them to leave a video testimonial. Like the credibility from that. When I went to your site for the first time, I called you immediately and I'm like, man, I would feel so awkward. I don't have the balls to ask anybody to do that. And you said, you just ask them and you smile.
Yeah.
Just wait for them to finish. So I really admire what you're doing. And kind of what was the catalyst to kind of get you going in that direction?
My investor told me, he was like, every appointment that you go, because he was in that business time frame 3 years back when he was getting started. He was starting to get those video testimonials up to build some credibility, because it's a trustworthy business. I mean, real estate, you can hire so many people. There's 60,000 realtors just in Nova. So it's all trust. I mean, what can you do to distinguish yourself apart from everyone else? And I started taking videos of pretty much everyone. First, I started taking videos of the client, and then I learned people need to see your face. It's all face recognition. It's all brand recognition. So I started I mean, now I don't even ask. I'm just like, oh, great. Now we can take a quick a video review. And then we just sit on the couch. I hold the camera up, or I'll have the title attorney hold it up, and just 3 simple questions. And that's it. What did you think about the transaction? How fast was it if it's a sale? Did you have to come out of pocket any money? I focus on the things that people want to hear on the other end, the consumer. So if it's a buyer, how much did you come out of pocket with to buy this house? Oh, $8,000. Literally market that. I helped this buyer get a house for $8,000 down. Bam. People are going to be calling you left and right. And then also identifying the audience is the biggest thing, because there's a lot of marketers out there. And I don't think that it's just shooting out there in a circumference. You really have to hone in on who you're targeting. So if you're targeting renters, if you're trying to target home sellers, Facebook is just designed to put your marketing in front of as many people as possible so they can collect as much of your ad spend as possible. So it's really difficult to narrow in and hone in on that audience. But once you have that, like I said, you just become a mini celebrity. And all of that was literally learned from YouTube. I went to college in YouTube, so.
I love that. I love that. It's funny because I haven't met a lot of people that get the video reviews. I got a video review from every client at Settlement when I was selling. So
Really?
2014, 2015, yeah. And the thing I found was I used to ask in advance and it would always be no. No, not a chance. I'm not going on video. Like, you can take a picture, no video. And then I stopped giving them an option and I'd be like, listen, this is exciting. Let's do a video. What do you guys think of the process? Same thing, exactly. You just sit at the settlement table, you have the settlement attorney video record it, you put it out there, and it got tons of engagement. And it was really even before we had all of the ways to like retarget. But when you're on a listing appointment, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, you want to hear from somebody? Like, you don't want to just read a testimonial that maybe I typed myself. Here you go, watch this video, and you can actually show them one after another of the experience. And that content gets a lot of engagement. So that's awesome. I'm super pumped that you do it. A lot of people won't ask. So
I won't ask. I'm too scared, honestly. Like it makes my skin crawl. Like if somebody asks me to get on video and I'm not expecting it, and I imagine asking it, but I know the value in it. I wish I could do it or would do it. And that may be mindset. I'm just not there yet. So what else, Austin, what's new? What else is new going on in your business right now? Like it may not necessarily be, paying off yet, or long-term tested, but what are some of the new things you're adding to your business currently?
So the newest thing is the bill at settlement that I'm testing around. That's really just become the biggest issue with that is like cash flow, because what I've realized, and I never even thought about this before, this is just me throwing myself in the water, is I did all of these repairs for this Maryland property and I'm like, okay. And now they don't want to move for like 6 months. So I'm just like sitting here like 10 grand tied up. I'm like, oh boy, I didn't really think this through that well. So that's one thing that I'm trying to test out, trying to get the agreement, trying to understand the seller's needs, I think, a little bit more to kind of feel like, because when you have your own money tied up into it, you need to be able to get the return on the back end. And I'm not all about like, I don't want to charge people interest on that. I just truly want to get their house sold. And when I see value in a house, just from paint being added, which is very minor in the scheme of things, and they can get tens of thousands of dollars later and sell twice as fast. It's just truly, I don't want them to lose their equity is how I put it to the seller. And I think that's probably one of my weaknesses. I get too tied up in the sale, looking out for their best interest.
Well, have you tried any of the third-party services where the contractors themselves, it's on them, but the fine print obviously is they have to reduce like 2% or something every 30 days, which is obviously advantage to you because you already have a locked-in price reduction strategy if they do that, and then it's not your money coming out of pocket.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I've thought about doing that before. The thing is, I'm such a DIY freak. Like, I just love building it myself. I don't want to get a contractor's license or anything like that, but I don't think I would ever utilize another company. I think it's worth putting in the sweat equity to build it yourself and then have that kind of as your own brand rather than just third-partying it out with someone else, because it's all trust oriented. Remember, they're hiring me. They're not, and then now I have to convince them to hire me and someone else. That's the way I look at it. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't done it yet, but I'd rather just build the system myself. So that's definitely one thing that I've been struggling with to kind of get down. But I feel like it's a true way to get above 6% listings all day long. I mean, people will see the value because when you break down the numbers, it does make sense. They profit more at the end of the day.
Yeah. One of the things that I really appreciate about you and just how candid you are about the mistakes you've made or the challenges you've been faced with. And you're just like, yep, screwed that up. This is what I learned. And this is kind of how I'm dealing with it, which I love because most people aren't that raw or authentic. And it's allowing our listeners and even us to learn from things that you're going through because you are very, you're kind of very revolutionary. You're very, in your thinking, you want to do things different, not just because somebody tells you that's how it's done. You want to figure out why, you want to examine it, you want to pick it up and look at it from every angle. And I love that about you. But when you have those setbacks, right? When you got $10,000 tied up for another 6 months because someone's like, dude, you made my house really nice. I don't want to move. and you're like, oh crap, what do I do now? How do you stay positive, right? Because you have high energy, you're positive. How do you keep that momentum moving forward when you have a setback?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like I said, like far before I got into real estate, I have made so many financial mistakes, flipping cars, and it hurts worse when you're actually like super broke, rather than at least you have like some type of cash flow coming in. So I'm not super concerned about all the money all the time is what I'm trying to say. I would say that I don't know. I mean, I'm just really optimistic, I guess. I mean, there's a few agents that I chat with pretty closely and I refer them on some business here on the side. And I think that that keeps me positive as well. Definitely my assistant as well, this little like kind of team I got going on, because my main drive, what I've realized is to uh, get more business for them because, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like you're paying them. And I want everyone to have a slice of the pie. I want everyone to be happy, even the contractors. So I think that it's just one of those things because I don't let anyone go unpaid. I mean, like my contractors in that deal are definitely going to get paid no matter what. So I don't know. I mean, it's just something that I kind of always had. I never really just got like beaten up about that kind of stuff because I know money is going to come, money is going to go. If you stress about it, it's just a material. It's a tool. It's how you use the money that really characterizes.
Yeah. So not putting the money on a pedestal. It's not the end all be all. It's fluid. It comes, it goes. There's times but basically looking at it more as this is a process that I'm going through. I'm learning, I'm developing, I'm getting better. So I don't mind making the mistakes. And that's why that's because I trust the process.
Yeah,
And
that's the
what
biggest thing. That's the biggest thing because I think a lot of agents have a perspective of, not in a bad way. I mean, I just think there's so much more required. There's so much more skin you have to put in the game than a lot of people think, especially when you first get into real estate because it's all like a get rich quick scheme. That's what everyone thinks. But there's so much more work involved into it. And I think if you just put that extra work or go that extra mile, then of taking the initiative to learn and understand people and learn how to coach and all that fun stuff, it truly will pay off. It truly will.
That's awesome.
So kind of going back a little bit, rewinding your pillars of business with the Facebook ads and the Google ads.
Yeah.
And this is kind of segue into another question we have later. What's kind of the biggest mistake you see agents doing when you see them doing Facebook ads or Google ads in comparison to the way that you're running them?
That's a good question. They're targeting the wrong audience. I can almost guarantee you that probably 99% of agents that you pull out, they're marketing towards other agents. And I haven't really figured out this why yet. I think because when you're an agent yourself, I mean, most people post about real estate and then, you know, Facebook has the algorithm that learns that they like real estate. So when you go in and advertise your real estate services, they're just going to put it into people that like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally marketing to agents, and you can easily tell that by seeing their sponsored posts and see who liked it and then just look them up. All of them are agents, so you're targeting the wrong audience. You need to target other people, the people that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's why I stay off of like Zillow, because obviously a lot of the targeting's been taken away, but I stay away from the Zillow, the Realtor, the Redfin, because we are on those websites as agents more than the clients are. So like our browsing cookies on Facebook are showing us on Zillow all the time because you're going in there to post your coming soons. You're going in there to look up a listing for a buyer that they're asking to see. And you're just going to be targeted with your own ads if you do that.
So that's actually the answer to the whole problem. When people go out to find a problem to their solution, usually Google is the solution. Like 110% of the time it's the solution. So buyers, you know, they want to find a property. What do? Properties in Northern Virginia under 450K. And then that click goes to your website. Your website is your hub. And then you can retarget through Pixel, everything through Facebook. Facebook is just kind of a cheaper alternate source of that. Google is way more expensive. It's a ripoff, but you have to identify avenues like that. Even on YouTube now, they have like crazy targeting. You can target severely into how much they make and what age they are and everything into YouTube, and just run like a simple video ad. And then if they click on your website, then yeah, you just retarget.
Yeah, I mean, and they haven't been cracking down surprisingly on Google or YouTube. I mean, same company, but the same way the HUD has said you can't target likely to move on Facebook, you can't target by city, you can't target within 15-mile radius. Like none of that is going on YouTube. So like your educational videos, for one, like if somebody's Googling, selling my Centerville house or selling whatever city house, and you have a video made specifically to that, you could force your ad there on top of what that Google search would be.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. SEO, huge on
That's
SEO.
it. So what do you think is the, like, you're very forward thinking, you're on top of this stuff, you're big on education, learning, self-improvement, and professional improvement. What do you think is the next big thing for our industry? What's the thing that we should be paying attention to? What's your prediction?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't really think that far ahead usually. There's this crazy, I keep reading all about Nextdoor and Zillow buying homes and Redfin buying homes and all that crazy stuff. I don't think that's going to be a huge drawback. Right now, they're not really being profitable with that. They're probably going to figure out the system to become profitable with it. But at the end of the day, if you have your little, it's not going to go away. I mean, person-to-person services is not going to go away. Buying a car, it's not as big of a sentimental attachment as a house. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of my clients, especially the FSBO ones, were all complaining about paying 2.5%, 3% to a buyer's, and they're convinced that that's going to go down. I don't know. I mean, the buyers is where you make the most money, I feel like. But I don't know. I mean, I would say that that's probably going to become huge in the next like 5 years, 5 to 7 years. But you got to have your niche. Also, I read something that's really interesting too. They're going to try to make it harder, maybe in Virginia and Maryland, to become a real estate agent. I don't know. I mean, everyone talks, but I think it's just going to kind of slim down the industry a little bit more over the next few years and make it harder for people to get business.
Yeah, there's states in the U.S. where they're broker-only states, so you can't even practice real estate until you've obtained the broker's license. And there's a number of different ways they do it, but like you have to apprentice for a certain number of years first. You have to have so much production before you qualify. There's a lot of different things there, but barrier to entry is something we debate all the time. And it's and the thing is you've got these huge trade associations like NAR and the local associations. They're membership driven, so barrier to entry doesn't really help them by making it harder. And then you have the other side where you have consumers demanding and then putting compression on the commissions because the overall quality of service being provided by agents is not to the highest standard that it could be to kind of justify that level of compensation. So that's why we have the issues. It's kind of this push-pull, give and take. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out. But they've been talking for a number of years. Maryland is looking really hard at going broker only. They've made a couple of changes behind the scenes that might be the next step for them.
Hopefully we'll be grandfathered in.
Yeah. What they did in one of the Carolinas, they gave you a deadline. They were like, okay, by this date, you have to have the broker's license. If you don't, and somebody I was talking to, I can't remember if it's North or South Carolina, they said they lost 40% of the agent population in the state overnight because they were like, okay, you got 18 months to get your broker's license. And then people didn't do it. And then on that, they were just like, no, forget it. I can't pass the test or whatever it was. And they got out. And then the agents that were still that, like 60% of the agents that were still there were like, they were they were crushing it for like 3 or 4 months until people got it all figured out because the amount of agents was just halved overnight. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it kind of shakes out, but barrier to entry is something that they debate all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of contemplated going the broker's license route like you have, Richard. And it was more so really to teach Mosley because I didn't think I was going to have a significant jump into like sales by just being able to say like I'm a next level of expertise as a broker versus an agent. And Austin, you're licensed in what, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, or just Maryland, Virginia?
Just Maryland, Virginia. DC scares the crap out of me. I don't understand that place at all. I don't even get Arlington.
It's honestly, I think Maryland contracts are worse than DC's, but.
Oh my God, it's so sketchy. It's so sketchy. I just closed on one the other day and I was just like, the title company was sketchy. I was like, how are you guys doing this? This is crazy.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've seen 2 Maryland contracts that looked similar in my life. And it's that's insane to me. They're just, I'm going to use this form and I'm going to use this form. And it's crazy. So when you do the forms based on counties as opposed to the state itself, that presents problems. But what do you think your big picture outlook is moving forward? What are your predictions for the future, for your business, for real estate in general? What do you think's coming?
So I think real estate's probably going to be a part of my life until I die because it's one of the tax shelters left. So it's definitely going to be a part of my life. However, that being said, I know you see those memes all the time where you see like I'm 29 and got started in real estate like 4 years ago, and it's like the old lady with the hair, with all the gray hair. So
Yes.
I'm trying to get out as soon as I can, as soon as I got in, to be honest with you, which is why I'm so big on systems and automating it. I know there's always going to be strings attached, but I want to have the freedom to be able to live wherever I want in the whole world, which may be a dream, but I don't know. I'm going to go for it. So I just want to get out. I mean, which is probably a mistake of branding the whole thing on my face, but I don't know. I feel like it's a you carry the stress of everything. You get paid to carry stress at the end of the day. I don't think I'll ever become an investor full time. Definitely even scarier because it's your own money tied up.
Right.
Like millions of dollars tied up, which is not fun at all. That's extremely scary. I'd rather stay being the middleman, but trying to build something to where you can hire people that will carry it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard had a mega.
Oh, and then go into another industry.
Richard had a mega agent that had 15 years of experience. When you say you carry the stress on you, I think sometimes agents try to, more for client facing, that try to pretend like everything is easy and they're just showing the easy parts on social media, or they act like they're so organized that things aren't stressful for them. But he was talking to somebody just last week that was remembering a transaction that he was on vacation and lost that client, and then decided he just wasn't going to vacation for the next couple of years. Like that was his solution to the problem, because it affected him that much, because it was like that valuable of a client. So hey, I admire you for trying to have a plan, for trying to counteract this type of stress long term. Right now, I'm putting too much on them. I should probably have that lunch with Tony Rivas myself, because you're really great about giving open houses and valuing your time and delegating things to other agents. And I am too much of a control freak, and I'll rarely give an open house to anybody, because I'm always afraid my clients are going to think it wasn't done as well as mine was.
Huh.
So
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a long-term scalable solution, and I know that, but I can't, I can't keep my fingers off of things. So, what is the best advice that you've ever received since you've been in real estate?
Oh, I wasn't ready for this one. I don't even know. I've gotten a lot of advice. Tony Rivas's advice was amazing with the time. Really got me starting to think about like at an hourly rate where I'm at. And then I just, so I would go into appointments and be like, oh, this is going to be a 1 hour appointment. And then I started getting a little bit cocky with it. I wasn't good at first, because I thought my hourly rate was like all the way up there when it wasn't, but you get better at it. So definitely Tony Rivas's. When I was on Leanne's team, she taught me a ton of great stuff, and I think she engraved it in my brain on how to find the solution myself without going out and trying to ask a million people for it first, which is truly the way to kind of learn it. Because I remember I'd always go back to her with a question. She'd be like, did you read the contract? And I'd be like, no. And then I would just read it and it would be right there. And so that's what I'm trying to teach like my assistant right now. It's crazy. So I think that as well.
That's the Chris Boris method of teaching.
That is Chris Boris's method. And I gotta say, I like Leanne and Chris are on a pedestal in my mind, because I'm like, I will answer this question for you because I know it, and I'm not doing them any favors. So that's a struggle. That's a challenge. We're all being so raw and authentic. I like to solve other people's problems for them, and in reality, I'm only creating more problems for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So that was good. That's good advice. You can and there's always a way. There's so many resources out there. Like you're self-taught on YouTube. I don't know, that like you are the case study in being like, hey, if you're motivated and you're driven, you can find all the answers you need. It is, and it doesn't have to necessarily cost you a penny. You just have to put the time, energy, and effort into it.
Yeah, it's all sweat equity.
I love it. Hey, just to kind of close us out here, Austin, what is the thing you're most proud of about your business as it's set up now?
Most proud of probably the systems that I have. I think I really kind of honed into that in the past, I would say like 6 months since the beginning of this year. I don't even go on dot loop anymore, which is like a blessing for me because I was never good with that stuff. Kevin probably hates me. uh, dot loop, not really having to work. I just go to the appointment and then I sell them on my services, and then I just do one final walkthrough and then I go to closing. That's it, which is amazing for me because it gives me the freedom to do other things and generate more business and kind of work on scaling it all in all. So being able to learn how to just step away, because like Dustin said, I'm truly like that as well. I'm kind of a control freak too. And that was really hard to do, to kind of step away from some stuff.
Yeah.
But when you just, when you just, you have to be forced to, I don't know. You just kind of like have to let someone else be your 7. It's going to work. I mean, nobody's going to be your 10. And so that's what I think I'm most proud of and it's actually really interesting because you get to see other people kind of grow and learn. And it's I built this, which is pretty cool.
All right. So I don't want to do too hard of a gotcha question, but this one was not in your question. So it's going to be coming hard at you. So you just had, the craziest client. I mean, you put up with the craziest questions throughout, giving you difficulty getting home inspection receipts. But you finally get it to the settlement table. Only you would have been able to get it there. You were the only one that was going to be able to put up with that much shit crap. So you have now closed. You're headed to the bar. What is your drink of choice?
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Cool.
All right, buddy. Well, let all the listeners know, like if they want to reach out to you for Maryland or Virginia referral, or if they just want to talk to you about like growing their business or maybe joining your team, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Email, because I tried to stop answering my phone now. It's crazy. Too many realtors call. So definitely email.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even have a voicemail set up anymore. It's just not even worth it. I try to remove my phone off of the MLS and everything, so definitely email.
Hi, Austin. This is Dustin. I'm having a scheduled showing at your listing this at 4:00. I just want to make sure this is still active and available.
Yeah, or they'll ask for the lockbox combo, and I'm like, it texts it, it tells it to you when you schedule the appointment. Like.
Yeah. So what is your email? How do they get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah. No. So it's Austin, AUSTIN @AHcells, not like an actual cell, like SELLS.com.
All right. And Richard, how does the audience get a hold of you?
Richard Bridges, and I too, like Austin, think that email is a very efficient way to communicate. So that would be richard.bridges@pearsonsmithrealty.com.
And you can get a hold of me, Dustin Fox, at dustin.fox@pearsonsmithrealty.com. And please, if you guys are loyal listeners and you're enjoying the content we're giving, please like and subscribe us on whichever avenue you're listening, preferably iTunes, and leave us a quick review. If you leave us a review, we will occasionally read your review and share it on the podcast. Austin, we thank you for joining us. You shared a ton of content, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, guys. See you later.